primary ignition.
This is Star Wars.
Look out!
Core World News.
You may fire when ready.
From the bright center of the galaxy, I'm Greg Skondak, and you're listening to Core World News, your all-net news service providing in-depth coverage of the latest stories from around the galaxy. Now, your news segment rundown for May 6, 2022. Boba's Bounty Board. Old Ben's Hermit Hut. But first, this news.
All right, thank you very much, Grex. Welcome, everyone, to another week of Core World News. I think this is episode 235.
Wow.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw a number in there. It's pretty great. This is the week of May the 4th here on Earth. And so, there was a couple news items that popped out this week from May the 4th be with you. And we got a new Kenobi trailer, which we will talk about shortly. And we also, Disney Plus dropped the gallery series for Book of Boba Fett, which is their behind-the-scenes documentary they've been doing regularly for all of their programming, and it's really fun and insightful. So no news this week. We're just gonna jump right into these new pieces of media straight out of Lucasfilm. So, gentlemen, Adam, Grant, good to see you. What do you think about this gallery episode of Book of Boba Fett, taking you back to the days in Mos Espa?
I was honestly blown away by just the technical achievement, not only with the VFX, but just the legacy designs coming back in new ways, and how they're harnessing effects to basically bring back the Rancor in a really fun new way where it's practical most of the time. When you're watching that episode, it's practical most the time. Just at least the top part, the head, the back shoulders, where Boba's sitting. It just seems like the design team and the practical effects team just went the extra mile for this show. And it's really just an effects showcase as well as a wonderful storytelling showcase, and the choices that John and Dave and all the directors, Bryce Dallas Howard and Rod Rodriguez, all these people, just incredible choices, incredible story choices, directing. It's really great, insightful series. And is there more than one episode, or is it just this one?
Just the one.
Okay.
Similarly, I'm always so impressed watching the special effects teams and the work that goes behind it. I always think back to when we had heard they were doing The Mandalorian, that they were doing these shows on Disney Plus, and back then, this is hard to imagine, but early reference point really for genre TV shows within universes was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the early Netflix Daredevil and stuff. And my mind could not imagine a good TV show within the Star Wars universe that didn't feel cheap, right? And then watching these, I'm just blown away with the amount of effort and time and frankly just talent they put behind these shows. And
the ingenuity of Rob Rodriguez making little wireframe maquettes at home to showcase what that sand monster, the movie of that sand monster,
and then filming it himself.
And then filming
sand monster.
And cutting it, compositing, his body roughly on top of, I guess, his body and kind of double exposure or whatever, and making the monster. It was really spectacular effort from him.
Blow out that section for a second before we move on, because if you're listening to this and you have not seen this episode, what we're referring to is, you probably remember the sand monster from Book of Boba Fett. It's the 4-armed creature, very Ray Harryhausen stop motion looking creature, and Robert Rodriguez wanted to do this, and he was talking about how he would have to do this over Zoom, so he created this wireframe thing, and they decided, you know what, I can do this at home in my home studio. So there's a video of him compositing himself to look like this creature, and I just wrote that video is equal parts hilarious and terrifying. That's going to be my name.
It was
Robert
frightening
Rodriguez
when he had it in his brain. He had this vision for this creature. He's and then when it can fall on its lower arms and become a centaur, and I was like, that's terrifying. He should be in charge of all creature design going forward.
He's like, I really wanted a 4-armed creature so it could punch with 4 arms.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, guys, do you have like on a regular basis? Do you think about? Are there any creature designs you're just thinking about? Like, is there anything just in the noodle that you're like, oh, I need to see this creature because I don't. I have 0 like monster designs in my head, so it's
Yeah.
I just thought that was like a superpower that Robert Rodriguez had. Really cool.
I love that he put his thumbprint on it there. I was going to say, my first takeaway from this was just the exuberance. And like, I mean, I knew that they're all hardcore Star Wars fans, but like from the directors to the cast to the crew, just like everyone losing their mind at the opportunity to make.
I'm so glad this little doc gave Ming-Na Wen like 2 minutes of just geeking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, someone needed to geek out, and I was like, I love that Ming-Na Wen is just a huge Star Wars fan. I love that they gave her a few minutes just on this inside behind the scenes documentary to like just geek out over everything that's around, like the Banthas, the speeders.
Cool. And they talk about it in this, but I was just from following her on Instagram, she is a legit giant nerd geek dork. Like every single thing, like every different day is a different like thing that she's in that she loves, and it's hard sometimes because the 2 prominent roles she's had within like the major genres are Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Book of Boba Fett, and she plays somewhat similar characters in both, which are really tough, stoic characters, right? So they don't have a lot of like emotional
sort of characters,
and she is just so enthusiastic on it. So it's fun to watch her in this, just lose her mind over 88.
Yeah, I loved doing that. Yeah, I loved watching that part. And then Rosario Dawson was the one that made me like, laugh out loud because they Plo Kooned her. They were like,
I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
I can't believe she fell for the Plo Koon thing twice.
Yeah,
like how do you not like
that is the best surprise ever? Though I was thinking about like the lists of like fantasy surprises I'd like to experience in life, and I was like, that is like number 1.
Yeah,
like,
I mean that's the thing.
Don't tell me
like,
I'm working with Mark Hamill, and then he's like, hi, and I'm like,
there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Rosario's face in one thing is all of us. Like if you got dropped into a room and so like you're gonna be a Jedi hanging out with Luke Skywalker, but it's gonna be Mark Hamill. Like she has this smile that just looks like it's like her muscles, all of her muscles are just flexing as hard as she can't not do the biggest smile she's done in her life. And I'm like, yes, that was how I would feel if I could stand next to Mark Hamill.
It was so surprising because I assume like it didn't shock me when she started talking. They're like they didn't like center the pages to read and it said Plo Koon because I get that like you're trying to like keep everything under wraps, but they kept that secret to her just to make it clear to our listeners until she walked on set the day of filming. like literally she walked in there. It was just like there's Mark Hamill. Like I'm going to be acting next to Luke Skywalker, which is
I can't believe she fell for the Plo Koon thing though.
I know.
Like they already did that in season 2 and she's like, wow, Plo Koon. She's like, all right, well they'll make that work. Yeah. Plo Koon's dead, man. We all want him to come back, but it's not going to happen.
I still think no. I think he's going to show up.
We're making shirts, guys. It's happening.
I think so. I think that now that they have it in their repertoire. You're gonna pull that out. Maybe we'll get a Plo Koon flashback in Obi-Wan just because they have that now. They can do a flashback with Obi-Wan interacting with Plo Koon.
That'd be great. Yeah, it shows like it's the follow-up scene to all of their like quote unquote deaths in like, and it's like, but it's actually most of them escaping.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Mace Windu and Plo Koon, especially. Yeah, Ayla Secura. Anywho, so we got some new stuff in here. They went somewhat chronologically through this. I felt like they walked over a lot of stuff that we had seen already. I forget like what other behind the scenes stuff we've seen, but we know that Tamara Morrison is a god among men. Everyone loved him. There was new stuff with George. They talk about George Lucas. I think it was Kathleen Kennedy was one. It was like George Lucas telling her, "Oh my gosh, I found this amazing actor to play Jango Fett," and Tamara Morrison, and he's like, "You have to, ultimately was like, you have to promise me if you ever cast Boba Fett, you use this actor."
Yeah,
and sure enough.
Yeah, and Tamara Morrison is just amazing, and like there's a scene where he's just reading the scene description in his trailer. And it
Oh,
just,
that's
I just loved listening to that. Like just listening to him read it was just, oh man, it was amazing.
the action. Yeah, the scene
Yeah.
description for that was it was just staggering. It was beautifully written. I think Jon Favreau is quite a good writer.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll release the scripts officially at some point.
I would love it.
Yeah, that'd be great. They might be in some of the making of books and things like that. I'm not too sure, but beautiful. That was a beautiful moment. I just love the idea of giving Boba Fett a family and a community, because he was so tightly knit with his father. Like they even spoke in the sort of like Fett code to each other. Like it's fun to have him back in a family environment in the Tuscans, and then I guess now that it's taken away from him, it's now turned into more of a gangster story with the Gotras and things like that. But it was fun what Jon Favreau decided to do with the character and giving him this new sort of community. And I think he did talk about how that kind of rounds the character out and allows you to feel more, empathize with the character, things like that, and feel the full impact of the piece. And so I thought it was really cool to hear that insight, to hear his sort of ideas about the story and what choices he was going to make with Boba Fett. I thought that was really fun.
I agree. I know there was a lot of discussion about, why did they change Boba Fett's character, right? And I like the fact that this is addressed in this documentary, that Favreau took the time to say this is why we made the story decisions we made, and he makes a solid argument.
I also love that he was thinking very carefully about every single choice and decision in writing the scripts, where he's like, we look at this through a prism of what is it? How does it connect to canon, the established canon? How does it relate to legends and all the people that loved legends material? Yeah. And like, how does it feel like overall with the films, or with the with the legacy of Star Wars itself and where it began? Like, and I love that he looks at everything in a sort of like multifaceted way. I thought that was really cool to get that insight.
Yeah, there was also some more insight on the hero's journey here. Favreau was mentioning, like, when you have stories about heroes, they need to be accomplishing something larger than themselves. And so, traditionally, we think Boba Fett is a pretty selfish character, right? I mean, that's the nature of being a bounty hunter. You just gun for hire, right? Trying to get through. And then, so I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. If we're going to make Boba Fett a hero, in this series about heroes, essentially, then that's something we have to do. And it was a very creative way to use the Tuskens and his experience in the Sarlacc to change him and have him sort of start grasping.
Honestly, I think that was my favorite part of the documentary, was the Sarlacc, the discussion of how he escapes the Sarlacc, what sort of practical production design they're going to create to show the innards of the Sarlacc. I don't know why. I just thought that must have been such a fun design discussion and just a conversation like we are doing. And that is the sort of thing that was, I think that was the sort of scene that we had all imagined in our minds, our mind's eye. For Boba Fett was like, how does he get out of the pit? And we all were thinking about it. And I think they did a tremendous job with the design of the sort of tight claustrophobic space and inside.
And I remember when it first happened in the show, I was just like, oh, that's it. Like, not that's it, but like it's done so quickly. Yeah. Like, but the more I look back to it, I'm like, yeah, it kind of makes sense, right? Like, I think we have this because it's been 30 some odd years we've been wondering, you build it up in your head in this grand thing, when in reality, like what they showed us on screen makes a lot of sense for how you get out of the stomach of a creature. Like, it's not going to be this long, arduous process, right? It's just, it makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I'm pretty sure Patton Oswalt called this in his
that's right,
cameo on Parks and Rec.
If you have not seen the meme where they line up his speech and Boba Fett, just Google it. It's hilarious. It's pretty great.
I love Patton Oswalt so much.
I have a direct question for Grant. Ben, feel free to join in. They name checked Conan the Barbarian.
Oh yeah,
like 3 times in this.
The one tweet I made so the one tweet I made about this show very early. I saw the first trailer. I think the first, whatever teaser I saw for this show. I was just like, oh, so Boba is Conan is like the first tweet I ever put out ever. And I don't know if it's still there or like, I just, no one replied to it. No one cared. No one saw the relationship, but I was just like, oh no, this is Conan, because I don't know if you read the old Robert E. Howard books. It's all about this sort of like wayward warrior who's finding community in different places, but is constantly losing community and having to go back out and fight, against the evil forces or the evil, armadas of the land. It felt very rugged, like Conan. And his whole mentality felt very Conan to me in terms of sitting on a throne and sort of being this daimyo. It was so cool. It also was very much a samurai flick. Like I'm surprised they didn't mention the whole daimyo stuff, like that, all that terminology, given like he is a kind of like I guess like the faction leader, the warlord, like the Gatra leader of that area or whatever. So it's cool.
It's interesting. I think they wanted to, they seem to be like it's like I just feel like the elevator pitch is like, what if Boba Fett was Conan the Barbarian in The Godfather?
Jabba's palace also evokes sort of that imagery, like the Frank Frazetta sort of like sandstone interior, castle interior, a starry night, Boba sitting on throne. That's very Conan. Like that imagery is very Conan. And I saw that the lighting throughout the series, I thought was evoked Conan and stuff like that. So that was cool. It was also cool to see them reference The Godfather and being like, this is a gangster movie. Like through and through, Jon Favreau was reaching to a lot of the gangster, flicks and choosing, the things he liked and bringing it in. And I thought that was cool. And hot rod culture. It was cool when he jumped to hot. He was like, it's also hot rod culture. You know how George loved hot rods? I'm doubling down on that. Like I am. Yeah. This is all about a tribute to George in terms of like showing off, what American Graffiti was about, but just in Star Wars with these cool, like the mopeds, obviously moped chases, the N1 Starfighter, stripping that down, modding it.
See, that's the interesting thing. I realize that's the one thing they didn't touch very much in this documentary are the mods. They mentioned them very briefly when they talk about Fennec Shan getting rebuilt, right? Yeah. And you get Favreau talking about how one generation rejected droids, like in The Mandalorian, and now you have a new generation loving it. But like, it's interesting that they steered clear of discussing the mods, which, the internet is, a hive of scum and villainy. And we saw that with a lot of the discussion surrounding the mods, but they really didn't touch on it much in this, did they? Unless I missed something.
Which seems like kind of a missed opportunity because it's like, stand behind, explain your choice, stand behind your decision there to use them. I mean, whatever. They were what they were. They were a bold stroke. I commend bold strokes and, that's it. But,
taking a shot. I appreciate taking a shot.
Yeah.
I was just fascinated. I realized that's kind of one thing they just were like, we're not gonna leave that.
Yeah, because I would have loved the inspiration for that. Like, what was the inspiration for the candy coated mopeds? Am I like American Graffiti? I don't think had a lot of candy coated like automobiles. I'm trying to think like what was the.
They did, I think.
It did. Yeah, I guess it did.
American Graffiti had some, pretty candy coated,
pretty bright, vibrant cars. Yeah, I guess
cars. I mean, for the time period. But I thought it was actually interesting where they showed like it was just a behind the scenes shot of Robert Rodriguez next to like the green moped.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that looks pretty good. In that shot, I'm like, that's for being a bright green car on a desert world, be a green vehicle on a desert world. It looks actually, you could see the weather wear like up close, which you never really get in this show, but like up close, it's like, it's worn down. It has this beat up leather seat and like, it's, they looked pretty good there, but anyways, whatever. The mods are the mods, deal with it.
I like the mods. I thought the mods, like, in retrospect, I do like the mods. I like the decision to introduce people who are more cybernetic, more cyborgs in the storyline. I feel like it's just fun to have a variety. Have your alien creatures, have your non-humans, have your cyborgs, and have your humans. Have the whole full spectrum.
Yeah, it brings background to what happened to Fennec Shan too, which they probably felt was important.
Totally. And I don't want to be old man yelling at Sky, but the problem with the internet. One of the problems. No,
this is it. This is the one. I can't wait to.
I'm gonna solve it. I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna be like Elon Musk, and I'm gonna fix it.
With $45 billion.
Yeah. No. Anyway, one issue amongst many things is that like it doesn't allow us time to digest things and think about things. It's all just reaction. Because like when I first saw them, I will be 100% honest. Where I went, it threw me. It threw me, as shows do. And then I watched the show more. And I was fine with it, right? Because I could digest it and think about it and see it use and more, and like the characters that they're introducing and see them in the world. And then by the end of the season, I was fine with the mods, right? As opposed to everything becoming a battle front online.
That happens to me a lot in watching Star Wars, and sometimes it's names of things where I'm like, I can't even I don't even know how you would spell that name. I don't know how it's pronounced. I can't. But I mean, that's the whole point. It's a galaxy far, far away, a long, long time ago, and it's like, things are gonna. The first time they hit you, they're gonna be quote unquote weird. They're gonna seem, different. But
are you still okay
with air quotes
with Lars Owen introducing Beru as his girlfriend?
Oh yeah, right.
Certain things I will never not get thrown by.
Yeah.
Yeah. The prequels will squeak by. So many things squeak by for me in the prequels, and I think I was just an influenceable, highly influenceable kid of when I saw those movies that I just. At this point, it's all just forgiven. I'm like, wow.
I was just so elated to have new Star Wars. I couldn't. Yeah. I mean, just thinking about where I was when the prequels came out just fills my body with joy and anticipation. And I think that's why I'll always love them. Yeah.
Love them. And this show felt very indulgent, like the prequels. We did explore a lot of Star Wars. And even the end, the last episode, Rodriguez goes into the script had it all. It had Rancors. It had Gotras. It had the town coming up and Revolt. It was
Cad
it was
Bane.
just had everything. Cad Bane,
yeah. That gave this definitely gave me a brand new appreciation for that final episode, and I'm going to eventually, when I can come up from air, from my regular life, watch this whole thing, and I want to watch it in a sitting. The whole Boba Fett again, but. The finale, it was impressive when I saw it the first couple times, but
there's a lot.
It's when you put it into context of all the beats they had to hit, it's really astounding. And I love the anecdote of Robert Rodriguez sort of negotiating being the director for that episode.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
A lot of that was shot in a pretty small backlot too, an outdoor.
Yeah, it was all practical too, which is wild.
Yeah, with just set extensions, I guess, and practical sets. It was really cool to see how much he was able to do there, how much he was able to get in the can there. He used every inch of that outdoor lot to basically frame shots and create new dynamic action moments. So that was cool. Yeah.
And the other thing is, I appreciate that. I feel like we got. I know when the show was on, we were kind of wondering where was Robert Rodriguez in this show, right? Because he only directed a couple episodes, and we were just kind of like, what was his role? And I think this did a good job of really showing where he was in this, because there's a lot that he was involved with on set, seemingly directing stuff in episodes that he was not the director of.
Yeah.
So
they had a lot of voices in the room.
Yeah.
And none was more apparent than the Luke Skywalker episodes with Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill was a director for a single actor, and also helped direct that. I mean, oh my gosh, I wish I would watch all of his on-set time in real time. I just want to see that because I adore Mark Hamill. But can you all of that knowledge that Hamill has for Luke Skywalker, no one knows him better, and then just being open the faucets up the whole way, Mark. Let us know what's going on with this character right now.
This makes me, watching that section, made me more certain that we are going to get a Luke Skywalker live action show.
Just because of the technology and how far it's come and the facial
rendering. He loves this character.
Mark
He
Hamill.
loves playing this character. Yeah.
I mean, Mark
he's
directs that show. Yeah.
You give Shatner a chance to play Kirk, he will always play Kirk. He'll never say no to playing Kirk. You give Mark Hamill a chance to play Skywalker, he's never saying no.
I hope so. He's at a certain stage in his life where maybe he just wants to relax. It's a lot of work to put in one of these series, but I know his fans would appreciate it.
But that's why, because look at how he did it. He was literally sitting on a chair, telling a person how to act, which that's amazing for a couple of reasons. And not just to be it's you get to sit down all day, but he knows this character, and to be given the reins to, as you said, direct an actor, that's got to feel amazing, right? To have that ownership over that character is kind of it's beautiful. It's beautiful that they want him so much, they trust him so much to be, like you said, a director for a single actor. Yeah.
Right. And what a great exhibition of the technology to do Legends of Luke Skywalker show, where he just goes to explore alien civilizations on distant worlds and discovers their relationship to the Force. And it can be very quiet and solemn, and it can just be Luke and, sitting in the wilderness somewhere, and it can be a slow grind of a show. And it doesn't need to really unveil much, reveal much, do any real plot for the overarching story. It doesn't need to do anything. Doesn't need to do much.
No, I know. And we've talked about this a lot. It's just like, because in my mind, I'm like, why can't Boba Fett just go, place to place collecting bounties? Why can't Luke Skywalker have no overarching plot and just be the blind swordsman and sort of go into interaction? If we're going to use like what Favreau was saying, which is like, well, it's still a hero story here, and heroes need to save people, and there needs to be an objective for the greater good, or a greater objective for the main character. The Mandalorian is like essentially turns into a father figure, and that's sort of his arc. But I mean, you could have Luke Skywalker sort of becoming very selfish, like wanting to become a hermit, like always having that in his mind, and then come to the realization that he owes it to the galaxy to create a school and to bring them together. And I mean, that could be the culmination. It could just sort of, because I think it ends at him creating the school, and then we, hard stop before we get into the Kylo Ren stuff or the Ben Solo stuff.
What about this? I'll sell you on something. Try selling you on something. So this season of Picard just ended on Paramount Plus, the Star Trek Picard. It's 10 episodes long. My wife and I, as we often do after we finish something, edit it in our heads. And what we realized is that should have been a 4-episode miniseries. The Picard season 2, if they had boiled down to 4 episodes as opposed to 10, would have been amazing. I cried the first episode. I cried the last episode. There are 8 episodes in between those episodes that did not necessarily need to happen. Right. What if you did that? What if you did that with Luke Skywalker instead of doing these long form seasons? Not long. I mean, there's 6, 7, 8 episodes, but just do really limited miniseries. Like every couple of years, just do 4 1-hour episodes, right? Like just do a contained, almost mini movie, right? Like just a movie here and there in episodic format.
So you would just want 4 episodes of that story, or you mean like a couple of years you get a 4?
Because then it is episodic in nature, right? In that you can tell one story, but it's contained and small, and it's just...
I don't want to evoke any trigger words for Adam, but
if you say Tree of Life,
I don't want to say I don't want to say the Terrence Malick approach as an approach for a Luke Skywalker anthology series.
I would actually love
that.
But
I'm going to say the Terrence Malick approach might be the one thing that's suited for this kind of series. It's almost like half character journey, half biomes. Like we loved watching biomes. It's silent. It's literally just a aerial shot of a specific biome or planet, like Mustafar or what have you, Yavin, whatever it is, and we just fly. It's just flyovers, and we love that. A blend of that and a little bit of a character journey might be exactly what I want for an afternoon. You know what I mean? Just like, it's an hour long. It's like a fun Luke thing that's just an adventure, but it's also really quiet and talks about the Force, and maybe it just investigates a civilization's kind of connection to the Force. They all have a different connection to the Force, and each episode it just investigates it in a different way. And
that's what I want. And I mean, again, I'm not a I'm a sound guy. I'm not a filmmaker, right? I do work on sets, but I'm not. So I get an idea, but I've never, been adjacent to anything of this scope. But
I mean, that's what I want. Luke just like murmuring words and the camera doing these like rushing dolly shots at him. That's the worst parts of the Terrence Malick kind of like approach. No. I would think it's just more like the slower moments and like a lot of just slow, sort of beautiful.
So this is I'm going to invoke Favreau again, like from this piece he wrote, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, but exposition can be a drag, but in Star Wars you're on the edge of your seat because you want to learn the lore. And I think that's what that Luke Skywalker show could be. It's just sort of like each episode you're getting another like lore drop about the nature of the Force, and like it, there's enough sort of and like they can be misdirects, and they can take in a lot of different ways, and you can always learn more information that makes the
and getting closer to the source of the first Jedi. That's the sort of like maybe which civilization was connected to the earliest Jedi, and sort of learning what they thought about the Force. But he never gets that He never gets that
He never
catharsis of learning the actual origin of anything, and so it's just that's kind of the end of the show. Is this open ended? Like, there really isn't an answer for this. It's always going to be subjective, much like Star Wars itself. Like, you're going to have a subjective interpretation of myth. You're going to have a subjective interpretation of the Force.
You just gave me this idea that like, I'm sorry, I'm going to steamroll you.
Go for it.
This is that he could be on the like the trail of the wills, and he's going to sort of like like the wills are going to come out, and he's like, who are the wills? Like, I can't figure it out. And like the last episode, or like maybe in frequent episodes, it just like shrinks to like inner space, and you like see the wills for a second, and it's just like they're always there, but he's just like, where is the civilization of the wills? But they're microscopic, and never finds it, never gets it.
That segment's directed by George Lucas. That's how George Lucas come in to direct.
Written and directed by George Lucas.
But imagine, my thought was, imagine a mini series or just a few episodes of like Luke going to Castle Vader.
Yeah.
Like just trying to figure out his dad, and then I don't know, encountering Mommen's helmet.
Yep, Mommen's helmet. The weird
Luke
like
wearing
the like,
Mommen's helmet is
resurrection crash.
infinity
Yeah. I mean that would be wild, and it's just like instead of him like drawing closer to his dad, he's like, oh my gosh, he was like a literal monster. Like, but it's important to him to see that side because he's seen the sort of human side, and I mean, and because I want to see what's underneath Vader's castle. We know there's like just like ruins and amazing things in there.
I think we might be getting a sneak peek of the interior of that castle in an upcoming show later this month that we'll be talking about.
We're going to talk about that pretty shortly. Oh man, you're going to make us just jump over the rest of this stuff. Because I want to talk about Obi-Wan as well.
I know we're trying to get over there. I have one more little bomb that I remembered to drop to get your thoughts about it. So Filoni talks a lot about Luke and Vader and Ahsoka. That's really thoughtful. But he says one other thing.
I know.
Qui-Gon watch.
Qui-Gon watch.
He says he seems Luke more like Qui-Gon. Thoughts?
I've always thought that. I've been saying that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go find audio evidence of me saying something similar earlier in our podcast. There's a through line. Qui-Gon connects with Luke, like, and the connection to family, the openness to connection, the openness to like relationships, and like that is, to me, that's like attachment. Like that's what Luke's all about, is understanding that it's not just a rule set. You have to, there's a feeling in all of this, and you have to trust the living force and the moment saying, save my dad, you're going to save your dad. You know what I mean? Like that's it. That's what Luke represents. And that's what Qui-Gon represents in choosing Anakin Skywalker. That's like, he just had a feeling. He's like, this boy just needs to be true. Even though he's past the age and there's a chance he could go dark, or, or his powers could develop too quickly and it could be dangerous. Like he still took the shot.
All those things do happen.
Yeah. But I mean, what Qui-Gon stands for me, as well as Ahsoka, as well as Luke, is it's just saying like, let's not get bogged down in dogma here. Like in rules, like this is the Force. It's a living organism. And those are the most interesting Jedi to me. I think they make the greatest stories, and that's another reason why it'd be great to see more Luke, like with that mindset, free in the world, just following the will of the Force. And
I totally agree with that, with the way he talks to Grogu in that episode.
Yeah,
and there's no shame in Luke. He's not shaming him. He's not judging him when Grogu decides to go back to Mando. I mean, he supplies them with a ship, right? Like he's not like, all right, well, fine, you want to go, figure it out, see how that goes. No, he helps him. He makes his once Grogu makes his decision, Luke helps him follow through with it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, Dave Filoni really has a wonderful grasp of just all the lore and the Force, and just he in Dave Filoni we trust, because he's just bringing us some of the best Star Wars stories, I think, especially Force related stories that like I've been craving a long time. Just the sort of like talking about the Force and Jedi training and all that sort of stuff. I absolutely adore. I loved at the end when he talked about Grogu's connection to the Force, and he talked about how the truth of the Jedi and the truth of the Force to him, I guess, in a big way, is to kind of abate, conflict, and to sort of calm another organism. You know what I mean? Like that is, to me, that was so interesting. I was like, like that's so true. to me, I've always thought like calming the creature down, that scene is almost like a trope now in Star Wars. Like we've almost seen it a million times that I would never think of like showing it again in sort of like in live action, but like it is very important. Like it might arrive, it might be like a pillar of just Jedi storytelling in terms of like calming nature wherever it may be. Might not be a creature, it might be a storm, might be weather, it might be some other sort of thing that the Jedi has to.
Right, but taken out of that and put into this story, we've got, it's a development for Grogu, which I think we talked about a little bit when we reviewed that episode, but it was really cool to hear Robert Rodriguez is like, I kept his eyes open intentionally because he has evolved, he has grown, and this is a growth moment for him. Because he's been raised by a killer, for the past year or whatever it was, and he's just like, nope, I'm being my own person. I have learned something about the Force, and this is the way.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we always talked about with Mando, right? That we were worried not worried, but we talked about the fact that will the Mando change Grogu, right? This idea of, I think reality, what we realize is, no, it's the other way around, right? Grogu's going to change Mando. Yeah. Which he already has. Yeah.
Or they're kind of a yin and the yang thing, it's just like, you've got warrior culture Mandalorian, pure, like my armor is my life. And then you've got complete pacifist Jedi character there. That's sort of pulling in the opposite direction, and that's hopefully going to bring us 10 more seasons of Mandalorian because it's fun to watch.
And is he really going to like go into like the core of Mandalore and like find whatever that is to redeem himself? Is that really going to happen?
Wait, let's ask our Mando Boba Fett whisperer Ben. Is that going to happen?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Is Grogu gonna like just stand there as he's like splunking down into like some cavern underneath the?
Grogu is gonna move one of the boulders out of the way so he can get into the cavern.
All right, yeah, you're right. They're on the ultimate. You know what? That would be great to go like kind of Indiana Jones with them, where they're exploring ruins and stuff. That would be fun.
Always good.
Yeah, under Mandalore, and like the same thing. Cool. Like you see ancient Mandalore.
That's season 3, baby.
Season 3, get some.
Yeah.
I hope. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you guys just hit my last 2 notes that I was going to bring up. Oh, actually, no, I've got one more. 2 more, actually. One is how they used the Jarhead they leaned on. Some of those scenes.
Working in the exposition. We were like, that was a lot of exposition. I remember after we reviewed that episode, we were like, wow, that was just an exposition dump. Like,
give it to me.
Jon Favreau was like immediately in this documentary. He's like, yeah, exposition's tough. Like it's hard, but like we got it. Like at least like it's action and it's the lore. The fans sit on the edge of the seat for their lore and Star Wars, and so it's actually like it's important in Star Wars and like people love it. And when they got to the Night of 1,000 Tears and like all that kind of stuff, I was like, yes, like this is what I came to Mandalorian for. I didn't expect to get it in Book of Boba Fett, but who cares? I don't care.
Here we are. Yeah.
Yeah,
I am same exact thing there. I'm just give me more lore. I mean, that's the other day I was just feeling some kind of way and I needed some Star Wars and I threw on episode 5 and I just beat by beat was elated by that episode.
Yeah. There's really an aversion to flashbacks in film school. I know when I was in film school there was kind of an aversion to flashbacks and VO and things like these sort of like devices, these tools.
I'm just thinking
I've always
adaptation
for certain reasons, but to me, like Star Wars is like one of those universes, those worlds, like where you can basically like, I think a flashback at any given moment is allotted just because the world is so rich, and it would be a problem anywhere else if it was a sci-fi series just trying to get its legs and then it just showed a flashback right away. You're like, oh, I'm not buying into this. Like I know nothing about this galaxy. Like I don't care about any of these characters. Like why are they doing a flashback? They're trying to make me feel compelled about whatever's happened in the past here. And it's like Star Wars can do that because Star Wars has that vast galaxy that we care about. And I think Jon Favreau made that point. And so I think flashbacks are green light on flashbacks. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. The other thing is I also love Doug Chiang. He's ever since I saw the like behind the scenes stuff for the prequels and how integral he was in creating all those like amazing designs. And so like Doug Chiang flying the N1 where they actually put him in there and let him like go was amazing. That was
he designed that shit came from his mind. And
Yeah.
I
then
know. And then he got to sit in the cockpit of it and fly it through like a canyon in
Canyon.
Tatooine. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
that's so
I
cool.
want so many things. I wish it was so like I just want one thing. I've listed so many things I want from Star Wars, but he'll just sit in one of those things in the volume
Yeah.
and just be able to
Oh.
experience it would just be heaven.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, all the greeblies and the little controls.
Yep.
Someone's like
Yeah.
painstakingly made to like actually create a functional starfighter.
I'm surprised that's not a ride at Disneyland.
I mean,
it's just like you sit in like a single flight fighter or whatever,
Yeah.
single light fighter. Like you sit in just one of those small fighters, and then there's just a volume-esque LED wall that just wraps around you. Someone walks you up to sit in the fighter or whatever, or it's like a drill. And then
I
you go in
think-
there, and then the fighter lifts up. You locked in, and then it lifts up, and then the
I-
stars and the space and all the other fighters around you, and like, oh man,
Based on Carly and mine's exploration of Galaxy's Edge, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a speeder bike ride at some point.
cool.
That'll probably be similar to that. I mean, what you're talking about is similar to the Millennium Falcon ride, which is fine. I mean, not to be like whatever. I mean, I love Galaxy's Edge. That ride was whatever. But it's like I did that ride and I'm like, I kind of want to be on set, which probably looks even faker than being there. And like, but like, I'd rather do that than this ride. But
Yeah,
anyway,
the sets looked incredible in this documentary too. I was like,
yeah.
just to be there, just to see some of the technology in action would be great. And just
Yeah.
seeing us like how they shot some of the VFX, I would love to just be there on set to see that.
One more thing is they introduced a couple more directors, like new directors to the Mando verse. Steph Green and Kevin Tancharoen. I'm
Yep.
sorry,
Yeah.
Kevin. But it's great. Hey, so Kevin worked on The Gathering Storm, which is like when Boba gets his the Slave One back. And then and Steph Green worked on the chapter 2, which is Tribes of Tatooine, which was the train scene, and they talked about Lawrence of Arabia, which we also mentioned on,
With Kundi, with like
yeah
Dean
a
Cundy,
legendary cinematographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they got to
two-
really establish some of that backstory for Boba Fett. Those two directors,
Yeah.
I think. Did Steph Green do the climbing out of the Starlight Pit, and then Kevin do the saving of Fennec Shand or something? Like they did a lot of like the backstory stuff.
He
for
did
Boba
basically bridging what happened between whatever the episode was in season 2 of Mando and in the beginning of Mando, and she did kind of. I
just
remember
to be a director and to get that opportunity. It's like,
Yeah.
they're like, what fun that would have been.
I love that second episode. I think that second episode I was so on board with the train heist. It was like most of that episode was all flashback, right? Like the vast majority of the
a lot of
episode, I think, was
flashback.
I really
yeah,
really liked that
yeah,
episode.
the combat
Steph,
style.
I think Steph Green did some Watchmen episodes, and that I think was the best show
that
to
looks
ever air
a
on
lot.
TV.
Yeah,
in the last 20
agreed.
years. So
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
great
that's
to see some new talent there. Into the world, to be like, because we talked about directors a few episodes ago, and these would be two new great directors to be involved in Star Wars, and it's great to see young directors that want to do this. So that was
I
exciting.
love that. I love that they're getting like established directors and like established like directors of major franchises like Peyton Reed and Robert Rodriguez in there, but also getting like the young blood, like people who've done like Rick Fiuma, which is
Famuyima.
I'll never get it because I know it. If I'm not on a podcast, I can say it, and then I get in my head and can't say it. But like he directed Dope and a couple other things that like were like he's directed major films, but then you get some others who have done television and just all these different levels of directors. And I'm glad they're building them all out. And like I will always point to Bryce Dallas Howard as an example of someone who like she's just developed into this amazing director through. I'm sure she's directed multiple other things. I'm only aware of her work on the Mando verse series. Yeah. And like her episode was episode 6 of Book of Boba Fett, whatever the one was. It episode 6, the one that's just basically Mando season. Oh, it's
Mando's Garage. Is that Mando's Garage?
No, it's episode 5, right? It's it's the one where it starts out like I think it's anyway. That is the best directed episode of that season, hands down. I will say it's amazing. Like she does that long tracking shot at the very beginning. That's just that one continuous shot is just spectacular. Sorry.
Yeah, I do love that episode. I think her episode of Mandalorian, I think the first season was like it was like I guess in my top 4 or top 5.
Yeah.
It wasn't like my favorite episode.
Yeah.
Of the
Yeah.
but like
It was good.
this
Yeah.
is top
Solid.
1 or 2. Like this was
Yeah.
incredible. Her episode in Book of Boba Fett was if not my favorite episode, my second favorite episode.
Yeah.
Her
Agreed.
episode.
Yeah.
It's my favorite directed episode. I mean, I don't know if you had a favorite episode of the season in terms of plot and everything, but in terms of the directing style, number 1 of and I actually might put that number 1.
Is her episode the Darksaber stuff and all that?
Yeah.
Like the
Yep.
exposition and the
Yeah.
ring
That's-
city
that's
and like
the
are you
episode,
kidding me? That was like the greatest Star Wars I've seen
It was
in a
the
long
most
time.
cinematic episode of all 3 seasons
Yeah.
of the Mandoverse so far. Yeah.
No, there wasn't a lot of Boba in that episode, right? It was like a man.
No, there's literally no Boba, but that's not why I'm saying that. Like, I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Okay, let's get on with our debut episode of Old Ben's Hermit Hut.
Old Ben's Hermit Hut.
Of course I know him. He's me.
All right, welcome to Old Ben's Hermit Hut. This is our debut episode for this segment, and today we're going to talk about the new trailer. The new Obi-Wan trailer just dropped on, I guess, worldwide, and we all got to watch it a few times, I imagine, analyze almost, everything we could see, every frame we could get our eyes on. So much in there. Like, there's a lot. We go to multiple bits. Obviously, Tatooine. We get to see more of Dayu in this trailer, and there's dialogue. There's more dialogue, I think, in this trailer than the last one. I think we got Duel of Fates on blast last time, and this time we get some really fun little dialogue moments.
Yeah.
We could infer a lot from, actually. So I can't wait to discuss it with you guys. What did you guys think of that trailer that dropped?
So fun. Yeah, again, really looking like amazing production value, and the story is going to be like gut-wrenching, I think.
Yeah.
But just so visually striking. And I know they're picking their spots here, but like, wow, like from the like vehicle design to the character design to like seeing stormtroopers again, and the flyovers, the like different biomes. We get to see the castle that houses all the Inquisitorius. It's just looks stunning. I can't wait to just literally just see it.
Yeah, I know. That's where I'm at. Exactly same. I feel like, we talked about this a bit when we talked about Book of Boba Fett, or at least I did. It's just this idea that like, I can't get over how cinematic these shows are, but don't you feel just from this preview and the preview before that this show is upping the ante in terms of the cinematic? Like, I don't think I can tell a difference between this and a movie at this point. Like, it just looks on the same level of something like even like a Rise of Skywalker. Like, it just looks so cinematic.
There is a lot of, I guess you see a lot of starships flying, transports flying around. There's a lot of like space travel in the show, what it looks like. And that seems like a bigger budget than what we see in streaming. Obviously, we're getting a lot more flying, spacefaring footage in Mandalorian. And but Book of Boba Fett was very much grounded on Tatooine. We didn't travel very much. We traveled with Mando for the one episode, but this, we are traveling in this, but again, we're only getting 2 planets, so I think that's the only differentiator between this and like a motion picture, which is we probably see I think George liked to really pack a theatrical experience with many planets, and there's 2 major ones that I think are featured in this, but I guess you could infer that all of the Vader castle-y dark interior stuff that could be Mustafar, and Mustafar is definitely on the menu.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at original trilogy, we mostly got in almost every single thing. We got like 3 main set pieces in most of our
you're right.
Most of our movies, right? Like, but in terms of this seems to be leaning more towards the prequel. And you're right, Grant. When we're talking about prequel, we get travel log movies, right? Like we go to a lot of places. So you've been dropping the name of this planet, which is what's the name of the new planet?
Dayu. I had to dig for it. No, it's actually from an official article that was released very early. I guess they like super early. StarWars.com was like, here's an article, and here's just like a little bit of what Obi-Wan's up to. He goes to a planet called Dayu, and it's kind of a Blade Runner-esque planet, is what they described. And obviously now seeing the footage, we're like, that's apparent. Beyond
Grant. So is that Dayu behind you right now? And you're
yes, yeah.
Yeah, it looks so amazing. It's
Sung
just
Kang,
like,
that's Sung Kang playing the fifth brother, by the way, which I'm very excited for.
oh, cool.
Oh, look at that.
Han
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the
yeah.
Fast films. Cannot wait to see him in
Nice.
action. But yeah, so Dayu looks like this planet that I guess Obi-Wan's going on this mission, this integral mission to something. It's still a mystery as to what he's doing, what the plot of the show is. But you can only imagine it's to either, steer the Inquisitors away from Luke or to protect someone else. I don't know. Like, or it seems like he's traveling to this planet for some specific reason, and this planet seems to be a hotbed for Inquisitor activities. So because I think the Grand Inquisitor in the trailer, you also see there's a Dayu background behind that character as well. So
Yeah.
fifth brother, Grand Inquisitor. I can only imagine that there's more Inquisitors on the planet as well. So.
Well, we also get what appears to be a new Jedi in this trailer that we see. I mean, if we're going
Is
by
he a Jedi though?
I'm in, Grant. You talk
Yeah.
to me. You play.
I'm gonna make a big
but
bold.
He looks it to me.
All right. Let's do a little bet here. Let's try and speculate as to who Kumail Nanjiani is playing in the Obi-Wan series. If he's a Jedi, I would love some flashbacks with Reva and her Jedi Master. And if Kumail is Reva's old Jedi Master in some sort of flashback stuff, or like we go into the Inquisitors, because they make a pretty big note in the plot details or the log line for the show on IMDb that Obi-Wan has to deal with allies turned enemies, basically. Like,
Oh, okay.
like highlighting the story that
Yeah.
the Inquisitors were
Yeah.
once Jedi, highlighting that idea. And so to me, I think there's a lot of fun, fertile ground in exploring some of the backstory of the Inquisitors, much like we get in Fallen Order. And if we're going to fit another Jedi into the story, it might make more sense to do flashbacks with an Inquisitor rather than have Obi-Wan trying to link up with a Jedi, just because
Right.
that's
that'd
like
be
the
fun.
obvious thing to do, and it's just
Yeah.
too on the nose. I don't know.
Yeah.
However, I think he will link up with the Jedi, because at the very opening of this thing, he says, they are coming. Well, hold on a second. Stay hidden, or we will not survive. Who is the
Royal-
we he's talking to, right? Like, I don't like stay hidden, right? So he's not.
Yeah.
I don't think he's talking to, like Owen, right?
So you think it's Kumail? You think it's a Jedi?
Yeah.
that-
Yeah.
I think
Kumail.
it's a
Talking
Jedi.
about
I think it's
Jedi.
another Jedi in hiding. Yeah.
Well, so there's a very strong connections to Jedi Fallen Order, the video
Yeah.
game. If you haven't played that, I suggest figuring it out and playing it. I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. It's a fantastic game, but like a lot of people probably won't play that. But you see, I mean, we learned that one big thing is that these Inquisitors were all Jedi that were turned, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, that's what Grant was talking about there earlier, where Reva, which I believe that's the investigator, right?
Well, it's
Yep.
Moses Ingram. That actress is playing Reva. She's highlighted in most of the trailers. She
Right,
seems
right.
to be the main antagonist, aside from
Yeah.
the obvious Vader.
She's
escalation.
hunting Obi-Wan is what it appears like. So yeah, so assuming
Or-
she's a Jedi, she could have been related to Kumail's Jedi if he's
Yeah.
a Jedi or something like that. So
If
that's
he's a
interesting
Jedi. He
stuff.
could be wearing. I mean, again, Obi-Wan is essentially like the Jedi robes double as a hermit kind of outfit.
Yep.
It
Right.
could be just a person, maybe
A
a
lot of
beggar.
people on Tatooine
or something,
wear.
It's
similar
just a
shit.
person that happens to be an A-list actor and totally not a Jedi.
Yeah. So
And he's still like super fit from Eternal, so it's making me think he's a Jedi more and more now.
Yeah.
Now that you guys are saying that, you know what? He is a Jedi. Is he
let's
is
just
he a
call it now.
flashback with Inquisitor Jedi, or is he an active Jedi in the plot with Obi-Wan?
So I think
We'll
he's
see.
active. So my
Okay.
thought is, I think we're gonna get Luke in the first episode. I think we're gonna be on Tatooine for about one episode of the 6-part series. I really think what's gonna happen is that we're gonna get my favorite scene in this entire preview, which is Obi-Wan talking to Owen. That's all I want.
Yes.
Like, that's my favorite
Yes.
thing. Like, that's just
Yeah.
amazing. But I feel like that's what we're gonna get. Kumail's gonna find him as a runaway, like, rogue Jedi, right? That's being chased by the Inquisitors, And that's what takes Obi-Wan off of this, of like, I have to help this Jedi. Like, I knew him from yada, yada, yada. And the rest of the series is him trying to protect Kumail, who, by the way, is eventually going to get cut down by Darth Vader. But that's just going to happen. Let's just understand that.
Right,
like, he's not going to succeed.
Bet ultimate nerds fantasy death. Vader.
And I think
Just
what
cuts you down.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna have the further fall of Obi-Wan in some way, where he's gonna realize, I can't do this. My only goal is to watch over Luke. I can't get distracted. I came so close to being found out and not being able to help the real chosen one type of arc. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's the true will of the Force. He's realizing like I can't be the hero right now. I have to.
Yeah.
Do we think the Tatooine? Do we think the Inquisitors are on Tatooine before the Dayu event, or do you think it's after tracing Obi-Wan from the Dayu event and going to Tatooine or something like later in the series? You know, like
I think it's
is it
I think
on
it's
Tatooine? Because you do see there is a poster now of Vader standing on like a sort of like mesa or like a sandy sort of like escarpment of some kind. Like it's like it looks like a desert environment is what I'm trying to say. And
yeah.
honestly, I'm okay with them confronting each other. I don't know if it needs to be Tatooine. Like to me, that's like I don't know. I'll
tell you one better.
This show is about to do a lot to the history of Star Wars and what we know about Obi-Wan and Vader's relationship. So
there's still
I'm excited.
Yeah, totally. There's still a chance that we've seen these two locations and that we're going to get these in the first episode and then go someplace completely different for the rest of the series.
You
know what
agree.
I mean? Like it could happen.
100%.
And we know we're going to see the planet that we see in Fallen Order also, which is the home.
Oh, that's right.
So
it's
the castle that's
right,
underwater,
right.
and I forget which planet's on. I don't even know if it's named in the game. But they go to it looks like Vader's castle, but it's submerged underwater, and that's where all the Inquisitorius is. So
I will say, like, I think my prediction, and we can mark it down now, is that we see Tatooine in the first and last episode. We spend most of the first episode on Tatooine, and we spend just the very end of the last episode, like a little post whatever, like, I'm now back here. I won't leave here again thing. And I think the other 4 episodes are going to be off of Tatooine, and he's going to be helping. It's not going to be Luke centric. I think we get a little bit of Luke at the beginning, a little bit of Luke at the end.
So in which episode do we get Qui-Gon Jinn then?
Yeah. I was about to bring that up. I was like, so like, what are they truly hiding with this? They've announced a lot of cast members, but there's gotta be some great reveals in this show, and I gotta imagine it's
only one I want.
It's with the characters. Well, I think there's other characters too that like are on the map that are just totally not talked about and not showcased at all in the trailer. But you gotta think Obi-Wan. Like, what is Obi-Wan thinking about right now? I can't imagine it's just Luke. It's the fate of the galaxy, right? And like,
I think
ties with the rebellion and what's going on. And I don't know. I feel like there's other motivations, other characters he might want to get in touch with.
The 2 things. The name of the planet is Nur, N-U-R.
Oh, thank you.
Secondly, I think they're going to tease us, and that we're going to get him at the very end of the last episode, Qui-Gon.
Yep.
Like a little bit of like, oh, by the way, let's have a conversation. Fade to black. Like cut to black.
I was just thinking that too, Adam, because maybe the whole thing is like he can't connect with Qui-Gon, and that's like he's just like doesn't know his place. He's like, what am I doing here? The galaxy is destroyed and I'm doing nothing, and I'm like this hero of the galaxy. Like, what is my place? Help someone else, and realizes that no, his place is there to just be there and watch.
I've got a pretty good Qui-Gon.
And then he connects with Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
I love that, Ben. I'm going to riff on what you're just saying. I got a pretty good Qui-Gon moment just out of what you just said right there, which is, what if we do need to see a Jedi that for Obi-Wan to connect with, and then that Jedi dies horrifically, and it breaks Obi-Wan? Who lifts him up after he breaks?
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
You know, that's to me, that is where you put Qui-Gon.
I like that a lot.
In the show.
Yeah, you get him at like Obi-Wan as his lowest, and then Qui-Gon coming to remind him, like,
hey, over here,
you're meant for greater things. Like you will help bring apart the next Jedi. Like, you know,
yeah. This is your job.
Great
focus.
way to work in that.
And do they ham-fistedly work in A New Hope? Towards A New Hope into that conversation.
Yeah, almost.
Lars has to say it.
Yeah.
Lars has to agree to it.
Yeah, almost certainly.
Uh,
I wonder if they'll even allude to Maul, or like Qui-Gon could just be like, "You'll be tested before the real test. Like you need to stay ready," or something like that.
Oh,
Just
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, or
I
you
hope
could
it's
actually
something
tell
meta,
him that like
I was
Maul
expecting
is
you to have
alive.
horns or something like that, where it's just like the entire other script was about Maul, but
Yeah.
they won't.
I love all of that. And,
Wait, he does fight a Zabrak in a hallway though. Like,
Yep.
that does happen in the show, in the
Yeah.
trailer.
in the trailer, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
wow,
a
but
real
he's
quick
like
shot.
shooting. He's using a blaster, right?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I think
I
he's in,
also we had talked about whether or not there's a droid bounty hunter that we see.
Oh yeah,
Oh
And
yes. Yeah.
I'm
that's
like,
100%.
what do you
Correct.
think?
Forlom?
I will no based on Dave Filoni's. It's all a connected universe. All the fans want is everything's interconnected and everything's connected to something else. I bet you dollars to donuts it's Q90 from Mandalorian.
Oh,
the,
yeah,
the
that's right.
driver from the first season, episode 5.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And I slowed it down, looked at it, and it doesn't quite look like. It does
Forlom.
not look like Forlom to me. I think it looks like Q90.
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. See, the thing is like, yes, everything needs to be connected, but the like rule that trumps that is the galaxy always has to get bigger too.
The rule that trumps that is Forlom and Zuckuss. That's the rule that trumps
the
that.
end. Always Forlom. and
If it
Zuckuss.
looks like
Yeah.
Forlom, just make it Forlom.
Forlom,
Just make it
yeah.
Forlom.
No, that's
Why
not the
we
right
have to-
approach. I do want to explore
Yeah.
new Star Wars, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, it's
we
like
can just give us Forlom.
Yeah. Please.
we
asking.
do love Forlom. We
I
do
mean,
love
but
Forlom.
that's a pretty good thing. So if the Inquisitors are like using bounty hunters as well to snuff out Jedi, that like adds a whole new like
Yeah.
dimension to
and it
this.
looks like I
Urge.
think there's another shot I saw of sort of like ISB, like officer, like Imperial officers helping the Inquisitor. It seems like it's all hands on deck for whatever their operation is.
Oh, that'd be cool to see an ISB officer actually.
It
'cause
would
that's-
be.
It's a cool
Yeah.
class.
I was thinking that would be what you throw at Obi-Wan because you
Right.
want something more cerebral instead of like let's just sword fight. Like I mean, like I just
Right. Well,
don't
Reva
you want
seems to
someone
be
to almost be
both.
smarter than outsmart Obi-Wan? It's like because it's like
Yeah.
that's the biggest threat to Obi-Wan is someone as cunning as him or more cunning than him. That's like the biggest threat to that character because he's raw intelligence. Obi-Wan's a very I think a sort of like high intelligence character. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we're getting in Reva. And I know like if you've listened to this podcast a lot, you know Grant's been talking about this character that he'd love to have in the show, and essentially we're getting it. But I think they've pumped it up a little bit and been like, yes, it's this really smart investigator, but it's also a former.
I'm
Jedi.
hoping it's Indira Varma, but it says she's only in one episode.
Oh,
So
interesting. See, again, that's the thing. It could all be,
but I think
all this
Reva
could go
is
away
that
in the first
character.
episode.
Reva seems to have the most screen time. She seems to be the major antagonist, the obstacle for Obi-Wan. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But we'll see. It could all
Probably
change.
so.
That's
She
what we
looks
guessed with Boba Fett. We thought we're like, oh, we didn't see any of this show. This is just the first episode. But really, we got kind of a lot of it in the trailer.
We did. Yeah.
Mhm.
Quite a bit of it.
But I mean, that's what's good. They're keeping us guessing, and yeah, it could be anything.
So maybe we're seeing a lot of the first episode in these trailers as well, and he's just going to Dio to meet a contact, and that's
Maybe.
it's just that simple. It's just we're leaving Tatooine to risk meeting a contact. The
Yeah.
contact could be a Jedi in Kumail Nanjiani, and something fun. And then danger ensues after that.
Or they're gonna have to establish who the Inquisitorius is.
Right.
Because it's for the live audience, they're not gonna know. So like maybe that's the only time we're there. It's just the fifth brother there killing a Jedi there, and you start.
How
you establish
ponderous?
that-
How much like ponderous Obi-Wan time do we get versus Inquisitor establishment? Like that's kind of like the percentages I'm interested in. 'Cause
One
it's like-
episode versus 5 episodes.
Okay, in terms of who's getting the 5 episodes? Obi-Wan.
The Inquisitors. I think we're gonna get I think we're gonna get rid of ponderous Qui-Gon real quick in the first episode. I think we are off Tatooine as soon as effing possible because of Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. Okay. Agreed.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
don't know
really
if
smart
that's-
direction to go. It
Yeah.
just saturated us with Tatooine.
Yeah, it could just be like Obi-Wan's there doing his thing, like being a creep on the Lars homestead, and Owen's just like, go kick rocks, and then he's just like, you know what, I am wasting my time, and then Obi-Wan's gone on some other, virtuous mission that he stumbles into, some other call to action, and but it leads him back to his original position.
Yeah. Let me give you some facts and lead this into another conversation. So we talked about possibly, we know that it looks like they're using bounty hunters to help with this.
Sure. Let's established.
Pedro Pascal is 47, which means the Mandalorian would be about 32 during the events of Obi-Wan.
Oh, we get him in his vintage armor, which is like one of my favorite looks for him.
Do we get young Mando?
Earth tone Mando.
Do we get young Mando in this show? Again, keeping in mind the numerous times
Filoni can't help himself.
Earth tone Mando, best Mando.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, he looks dapper in like his recent thing with like the dull gray, like gunmetal like Mando is pretty tight, but Earth tone Mando.
Earth tone. Come on. So ragtag. I love it. I love the ad hoc kind of like ragtag Star Wars.
Yeah. Pretty great.
Yeah, I can't wait for this show. I'm excited to see Obi-Wan sort of like in an investigator mode again, sort of like noir detective, like what the heck's going on in the galaxy. Let me explore this planet. Let me meet with a contact in hiding in some dingy alley. Like it seems like he's just like keeping his hood over his head and kind of like sneaking around. I really thought the Fallen Order games are going to deal with the kind of like sneak element of like being a Jedi post Purge. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm hoping this show kind of shows how stealthy Obi-Wan can be. I'm hoping we see some force speed and some jumps and some hiding on the ceiling and some vent crawling and like Obi-Wan just really sneaking and using Jedi mind tricks to just get through thresholds he didn't think he could get through, or we didn't think he could get through.
Yeah. Well, they showed one scene in the trailer that's like it was I think it was fan made, but it was like it became iconic. It was a wanted poster of Obi-Wan Kenobi. With like Arabish all around it. And that's setting the scene. It's just like he can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
He's he was one of the biggest generals in the galaxy. I'm sure everyone knows his face. So
right, and they know he's still alive. Like if you think about it, it's not like
there's no mystery.
It's fascinating. Like they know for sure that Obi-Wan and Yoda are 100% alive because they walked away from confrontations with the two biggest bads of the biggest bads.
Yeah, I mean, how are they going to end this if Vader knows he's alive, and they haven't dealt with this in any comics, in any video games. Like it's never been Vader being like. I mean, you'd think the one guy, the Jedi he'd want the most is Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah,
but
you would think.
Yeah, but I think that's what we're going to get a lot of Hayden with here. Is like, is Vader now? We're going to get Vader dealing with that one way or the other. I mean, it's also like, it could be his heart, like. Arguing with the Vader, the dark side of him being like,
all right, so we can't like, I do want to, I'm wondering in what capacity we see Hayden in the film. Like, do we see his face? Like, is he just immediately in the armor? Are we getting back to tank footage of him, like getting treatment? Like what Hayden, or what kind of Hayden scenes are we going to get in this? I think there's some fun stuff they could do. Like they already did Ahsoka cutting the helmet. I wouldn't mind Obi-Wan like short wiring the suit to the point the breather doesn't work and like he has to pull the whole helmet off and like continue fighting. You know what I mean? Like the entire helmet has to come off.
I think
I would love
need Obi-Wan. Similar, you need Ahsoka to see his face. I think Obi-Wan has to see his face. Yeah.
Wow, that would be a crazy scene. I think it's gonna be they're gonna like release the monster. We're not gonna see Hayden right away. They showed a lot of cryptic scenes in this trailer. We see the hand being put on, and then the like control panel, like on the like abdomen being like screwed into place, and so I think it's going to be a lot of that early, and but everyone's going to know it's Hayden, and eventually he'll be revealed.
I also wonder if we're going to get flashbacks with the de-aging stuff. I still think we might get a couple of flashbacks, so you get like Prime Hayden.
I wanted that in Book of Boba Fett. It was like they teased. It was little tastes of Clone Wars, and that was awesome what we got. But I wanted a little more of that, like I don't know, a de-aged Morrison
the
as
novel of
Fett.
Yeah.
Because like the novelized version of this would like almost show like some war from the Clone Wars, some battle from the Clone Wars, wherein like some tactic was used.
Yep.
And then in present day, they're cat and mousing each other, and then the tactic arises again of like, is this tactic used, or like does Obi use this tactic to get away from Vader? Does Vader know that he's going to use this tactic because of that flashback? You know, like there's really fun things you could work in using a story from their past, but yeah, who knows?
Oh man, yeah, you just like that's exactly what Filoni did with the Kenobi Maul fight. And
right.
So
That's
subtly,
exactly yeah.
Yeah, and
it was like,
so
you know, the move that killed Qui-Gon, like, guess who was
try it
expecting
again.
that to come up? Yeah, Obi was expecting that. Yeah.
Try it again.
Like high ground. If the high ground might come into play again, honestly, like Anakin might have the high ground in this. I think that's the poetry. The poetry is
that would be
Vader will
amazing.
be on the high ground,
And
looking
to which
down at Obi-Wan.
Qui-Gon says, or Obi-Wan says, you know that's not a thing, right? Like,
right. Because that's the joke. We talked about this earlier. Like, actually, Obi-Wan's amazing on the low ground. That's like where he beat Maul from the low ground. It's where he beat Grievous from the low ground. Like, he was like, I was kidding about the high ground thing. I just didn't want you to do it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There are a great many truths we cling to.
Yeah.
On your own point of view, he just serves Vader.
Yeah. Ewan McGregor's always on the high ground.
I'm calling that now, though. There is a reversal. There's a mirroring of that moment where Anakin has the high ground and Obi has to flee. Obi has to flee into the night because he dare not approach someone who has the high ground.
Yeah. I do think it's got to be. It's so hard because here's the problem: it's like you're not going to match their confrontation in episode 3. Like it's literally impossible for a TV show to do that, no matter how good it looks. And then, so I wonder, I don't know. I wonder if we get actually lightsabers crossing between the two of them at all. I think we get a confrontation. I don't know. I
think it has to happen.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if Obi-Wan is going to use his lights. I almost think he might use an Inquisitor's lightsaber. Like that's
interesting.
Like red on red or something, because it was blue on blue.
Blue. Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith. But
I like this.
Red on red might be where it's at.
Yeah. That's a good call.
And the Disney Plus tag stinger is a red lightsaber cutting the plus sign in half.
Sure is.
Like, it's not a blue lightsaber. It's not a blue lightsaber. Like,
yeah, in fact, anything we've seen in the previews, right? We've only seen all like red lightsabers. Yeah.
And it's a time of blood and misery. It's the dark times. Yeah.
The dark.
I'm so excited for the show.
Because isn't that the moment? Like, that is another big. I will stand up from my couch when he pulls a red when he pulls any lightsaber or his own, whatever happens. Like, he ignites it and fights Vader. Like, oh, come on, I'm here.
Yeah. Oh man,
I want them to establish the teacher-student thing, though. Like, I think that needs to be like worked in a really smart way, where it's like Obi-Wan's almost still the teacher, like in terms of like he outsmarts Vader in a way, and Vader's like, damn it. Like, you're like, damn it, you're still the wiser one, the wiser mentor.
I mean, because if they are going to interact, the only line that sets that up is from A New Hope, and it's like, when last we met, you were the master and I was the learner, and now I am the master. Awful paraphrasing, but that's
no, but there could be. I mean, very much Obi-Wan could be like, see, there's still a lesson that I had to teach you, or something, right? Like, it could be a line like that just like,
there you go.
Coldy one.
Yeah, I wonder what that could do, because I wonder if that could pertain to, because it could connect to something Obi-Wan's they've talked about in the prequels. There's a lot of lessons in Attack of the Clones. Like, Obi-Wan is like spouting sort of like advice to Anakin, and I wonder if they might pluck something.
Mostly,
in Clone Wars, I'm sure there's
stop losing your lightsaber.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. That could be the thing. He could like totally disarm Vader and like look at his face again and just be like, you were my brother, and then split.
Yeah.
You were my brother again. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Something better than my dumb mind would come up with, but you get it.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. I think we've gushed over this enough. Is there anything we missed? I mean, yeah. Owen Lars is going to be amazing. I think we got Qui-Gon in there. We talked
A
a lot
droid.
about.
I think there's a droid we see. Like there's like a shot of a droid, and it looks like the size of like a dinner plate. And it's
yeah, there is like a little
It's
tiny.
like-
Yeah, that's right. It's right after the Kumail
yeah,
shot.
it's like a dreidel
Yeah.
or like a dinner plate. It looks like a strange looking disc, like a UFO or something.
Yeah,
It
I
looks-
pegged that and then forgot about it, but
Was it
definitely looks
black?
odd.
I didn't see it because it could
I
be
saw it
that
for like a
some
second.
of
It's just
the
I think it's like a-
Inquisitors use those sensor droids, and those look like a dish with like legs. They're like
It
mini.
might be that. No, it's red and white, I think, or red and
Okay.
gray.
Hmm.
It's very like it just looks very. It's not BD1, but it looks similar design in terms of like that type of design mechanics. It looks very Jedi Fallen Order type.
Yeah, we need droids, right? We need
Yeah.
droids, so they'll be in there somewhere.
I
Yeah.
still can't believe they're not calling the show just Kenobi. I like it. But
Yeah.
it's just surprising to me. I kept waiting for them to change the title.
Yeah.
Just Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just going
Obi-Wan
the
Kenobi's a
whole
lot.
Obi-Wan.
All right. Yeah. I mean, they, I'm sure they could have used a more subtle title too, but they're just like, nope, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's that. We already talked about a lot of possible cameos, but there's a lot of possible cameos in this. Caleb Doom, like a
Yeah.
drunk, like transport pilot, which is what he was essentially at this time period before.
Frey Prince Jr. wander around the background suddenly.
Yeah.
we should guess. We should make our picks for who we think will appear from
tough.
other material. Do we think a Cal Kestis might appear?
I
Like,
think
given
there's
the
a solid.
actors-
I think there's a solid chance at a
Okay.
Cal Kestis in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really do think a Cal Kestis appearance could happen, especially at the end, maybe when it's like, here's what
Yeah.
the Jedi contingent looks like, or whatever.
I mean, they made him so photorealistic in that in that game. Like I don't know
he's
how you
basically
don't get
himself. It's not even
Yeah.
like he didn't like
Cameron Moynihan
Spider-Man,
or
like
something. Yeah, I don't know
PS5
how-
Spider-Man like mixed like Andrew Garfield and like Tom Holland. They didn't like do anything to change his appearance. It's just the actor. So,
Yeah, it really is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how deep down the rabbit hole they'll go. They only have 6 episodes, but I mean, there's a world where Cal Kestis and his like new squad, Greasy and Sari Junda, and like he could run into them and be like.
But
he's
did
just
they
like,
not destroy? Did you not do spoilers for Fallen Order? Do you not destroy the Fortress Inquisitorius in that game? Like at the end,
Oh.
I think it's implied that it blows up because Vader's like wreaking havoc in the lower levels or something.
I mean, I think they do a lot of damage, but I don't think they do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's still there, but I can't remember. It's
this,
been a while.
I think that takes place before that. If this is 9 years in, I'm pretty sure Fallen Order is only like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. So it looks like they repaired Fortress Inquisitorius.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be if they just did a thing where they're repairing Fortress Inquisitorius and talking about the incident, like that would be enough, for
in terms of cameo, I'm betting big on Mando.
Okay, Mando.
I really do. Again, based on Dave Filoni's insistence that we have a shared interconnected universe.
Yeah, to tie it into other things. Maybe that's Filoni's always putting his characters in other stuff. Yeah, I mean, a young Mando.
Or
great.
that just brought up or Cad Bane.
Yeah,
We
Cad
have bounty
Bane.
hunters. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Cad Bane in the previous segment, but
He's
I
cool,
really
did a
like.
great job.
Yeah, I think it was great that they mentioned that Lucas always thought of Boba Fett as the
Man with no name.
man with no name, and then the Clint Eastwood,
Right.
and then Cad Bane was his Lee Van Cleef, and Grant, you especially have mentioned
You hit
Lee
on
Van
that.
Cleef a lot, which is of course from those same Clint Eastwood movies. It's like his common enemy.
I think we have a villain overload in the show already that like I
Yeah.
don't think any villains are gonna arrive from ancillary material. I almost think we might get a Dexter Jetster before we get a villain.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
He's
But
relocated.
could
He's
Obi-Wan go
relocated
back?
after the Empire took over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he's coming to whatever this planet's name is. I
Daiyu,
can't
it's
remember.
seedier,
Daiyu,
it's
maybe
more
that's
For our fans that may not know, Dexter Jester is the diner owner from Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
we've mentioned him pretty much every pod for the last
Every
4
other
pods.
Also, did we mention him last episode where he shows
yeah.
up in Queen Hope? I can't remember Queen's Hope. I can't remember if we
yes,
talked
we
about it or not.
absolutely
Oh,
did.
good. All right, good.
He was
Oh,
there.
right, we did. Yeah. All right, I want to make sure.
I just wonder,
Been a
Liam
week.
Neeson's doing the rounds right now.
Oh yeah, he's 100%.
Neeson's definitely in
Yeah.
the show. If he's not, that's wild. That's
would be
wild. to me, 'cause
wild.
You wanna plant those seeds, I would think.
Oh yeah, I mean that's Obi-Wan's whole mission. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
and
the other half of his mission. His mission 1, protect Luke. Mission 2, commune with Obi-Wan. Come on.
And
I mean,
it's
commune
been
with Qui-
long enough. Don't Google him and things he might have said a few years back. But like people forgot about that. We've been busy with other stuff, so he's kind of out of movie jail again. So he'll show up.
Yeah. No, he was on Smartless a couple weeks ago, and he was
there
an
you go.
absolute
Yeah,
gentleman.
he's fine.
I do think it would be endearing to see a known Jedi return other than Obi-Wan
Yeah.
from the prequels, like a Jarl
Yeah.
Poof in hiding or something.
Mace
Like,
Windu.
I would cry. I would weep openly.
Yeah.
I
too.
think I hate to make
I
you cry
just-
for other
I'm
reasons.
probably going to be anyways, honestly, but like,
Jarl Poof is confirmed dead if you look at the Wikipedia. I think.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, they
what I mean,
confirmed
like,
they
he
confirmed
thought-
Jarl Poof dead between episodes 1 and 2 because Jarl Poof looked too much like the Kaminoans. So
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess
He died off screen.
I'm back in the High Republic. I'm happy.
he
with
probably died of old age. He was 1 billion years old. He was because he's in.
And I like what the Vader comics did with sort of like sprinkling in like known Jedi masters like Eth Koth and
Eth
his
Koth.
life after the Purge. Like what?
Yeah.
So cool.
There could be an Eth Koth reference. It'd be great if they tied in some of the comics, because obviously the comics have covered this area extensively with Vader. And yeah, I mean that it just makes sense to tie that in. That's something actually we haven't talked about. But as far as synergy goes, the Vader run from 2017 to 2021, was that Sewell? Why am I
Yes.
forgetting this?
Yes.
Yeah, Sewell, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. It's worth owning to go read. I'm rereading it now, and it's super fun. But yeah, they bring out those random Eth Koth references, and if they could sort of parallel that a little bit and tie into those comics, that would be fun too.
Sure, I would love that. Yeah, Poof is officially dead. Poof sat on the council until he perished on a
Pull
mission
one out for Poof.
shortly before the beginning of the Clone Wars in 22 BBY. No
mission.
additional information.
Killed in combat. I never would have expected
Brutal.
that.
On a mission, he could just, his fighter could have gone down. We don't know.
He fell down a flight of stairs.
But do you remember?
His head
It
hit
also
his head
reminded
on a door jam.
I
He was
was also
rollerblading one time.
You went rollerblading. What have you learned?
I also everyone should, if they've forgotten, go reread Darth Vader number 25 from 2017 with the Mommin vision, and we do get Darth Vader taking on Jarl Poof and dispatching Jarl Poof viciously.
Oh, yes.
And I have the panel in front of me,
Nice.
and it's disturbing, and I put it on Instagram, but I don't want children to cry.
I do. I'm now thinking. I'm thinking we're onto something with Kumail being a Jedi, because I think there's like a lot of comedy you can get out of a Jedi in hiding, almost like what they're doing to survive, and like are they cheating? Are they using their powers? And it's kind of Jedi mind tricks are inherently kind of funny. Like they're kind of like funny beats in Star Wars stories, and so it's like to me, it's like if someone's using the Force just to get by, that could be very funny, and talking about it could be very funny, and the moral conundrum of these dogmatic monks going into leaving their order and having to just like live amongst those people. It's like that's fascinating to me.
As a giant Kumail fan, like that, he can look super squirrely and stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He could look.
Yes.
Like he could look like he's just constantly like looking.
It's like we
over
can't
his shoulder
stay on
being
Dayu.
followed.
Like you
Yeah.
came here. Like we're supposed to go. Yeah, he would
Yeah.
be a great paranoid sort of Jedi in hiding, because he's so funny when it's like
Yeah.
things are wrong and they got to get out of some sticky situation. He's great for that.
Now when he's not, and he's just some other character, I'm going to be so bummed now that we've created this
No,
entire.
you're
It'd
not.
be
You're
like
gonna cry.
That
like a
one
baby.
guy at like Chalmun's Cantina that just like threatens Obi and then walks away.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait for this. Now I'm super extra double pumped. Okay, it'll be great. I think we covered it. I know we've talked about this a lot, but hey, we got a trailer, and there was at least 7 or 8 new images in it, and so that warrants 40 minutes of discussion.
Of course.
Thank you very much for listening to us this week. We'll be back next week with some more fun things to talk about in the galaxy far, far away. So take care of yourselves out there, and may the Force be with you.
This is Grex Kondak signing off. For the latest breaking news, follow @CoreWorldNews on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you, and good night.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.